Hello, Stephen here. Today I want to introduce the philosophy of existentialism. But of course, a quick disclaimer here. I don't think that we can understand all of the nuances of existentialism in just a short YouTube video. But my goal here, however, is just to introduce a few of the core concepts to existentialism, and as well as mentioning a few of the key figures. And so with that out of the way, what is existentialism? In short, existentialism is defined by a simple proposal, which is existence precedes essence. Now, this concept reverses the traditional assumptions of philosophy, the dominant view that had been held for most of human history, which had claimed that essence precedes existence. And so existentialism is the reversal of this claim. In plainer terms, we often assume that there is a predetermined human essence that is universal and immutable for all human beings that is then lived out in different ways in individual existences. However, existentialism challenges this by stressing that we first exist. We simply are first, and then we form through our daily actions into who we actually are. And so our essence, the sense of who we are as human beings, as individuals, as a human species, is not preconceived, but rather worked out in the actual existence. And so existence comes first. There's not some ideal sense of what it is to be, and then it's lived out in practice. There is rather the practice first, and then the creation of the essence. Now, another helpful concept to understand this, at least for me, is what Heidegger has called the Throneness of Being, or in German, the Geworfenheit of existence. This is essentially the idea that the person's individual existence is thrown into the world arbitrarily, and this results in a dual sense of alienation and freedom. This idea is alienating because we want to believe we are born on purpose, with a pre-established sense of self, rather than thrown simply into existence aimlessly first, and then left to ourselves to determine meaning for who we are as people. To create our essence, in other words, out of our existence, rather than to live out our essence in our existence. At the same time, this thrownness gives us a radical sense of freedom because we create the essence of ourselves every day in what we do. There is no predetermined path or set of rules to follow. We are thrown into being aimlessly and must cope with the anxiety and terror of our radical freedom. This is what Kierkegaard defined as anxiety, or the dizziness of freedom. He uses the analogy of a man standing at the edge of a tall cliff. This man at once experiences both the terror of possibly falling off the edge by accident, but also the deeper sense of angst about the total freedom he has to just throw himself off at any moment. And so the mere presence of such a freedom to do such a radical, terrifying act triggers within us this immense feeling of dread and angst. And so that's what Kierkegaard called the dizziness of freedom. And so you are alone responsible for your essence, for who you are. And that reality is both terrifying and liberating at the same time. There is no predetermined purpose or definition of what it is to be you apart from your actual existence. And so we often have this idea of having a real, deeper self, of a true self in some perfect idealistic sense that exists in our mind, merely in an ideal form, some essence that is irrefutable and unchanging. But existentialism essentially rejects this idea and replaces it with the fact that we define our essence through our existence. And so through the freedom that we have as people, what we do with our freedom determines actually who we are. This, in short, is existentialism, that existence comes first and then essence. Obviously, there's many schools of thought within existentialism, but once you've grasped that basic concept that existence precedes essence, you can kind of dive in a little bit further into more of the nuances within existentialist thought. And a few of the key figures to study for that would be the three that I've mentioned already: Kierkegaard, Sartre, and Heidegger, even though Heidegger rejected the label of an existentialist. Others I would include in this list would be Albert Camus, Paul Tillich, Rudolf Bultmann. So I'll link a few books down below in the description for a few of those authors. But for now, just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.